Hey, this is me building and strategizing a $2 million per year business in public. Last month I made 139 grand and next month I want to hit 167 grand. This is more or less a day-by-day breakdown of how I'm doing it. I start with some Q&A over here. That's where I answer questions that you guys post on any daily updates video. Then I do some growth stats over here where I essentially go through the last 24 hours of growth and then showcase any standouts there. Then finally we'll cover a little bit of live strategy that's more or less me just working, doing a little bit of I don't know, my day-to-day actionables, that sort of stuff. And I find that that's valuable because a lot of people that make YouTube channels and make a lot of content, they talk about big grand strategies, but they don't actually ever dive down into the day-to-day tactics. Okay, great. So here is my main channel, 61,285 subs. That's good. This is the daily updates one. We just hit 4K watch hours, which is awesome, meaning I'll be able to monetize the ads pretty quick. Pretty stoked on that. And I'm just going to scroll all the way down to the very bottom and first question that I can. Posted by the lovely Mohammed Yasser one day ago. Mohammed says, "Hey Nick, technical question. I'm building an outbound phone caller that follows up with patients to confirm their upcoming appointments. I use Make and Vappy." Very cool. "When I issue the call, aka use an HTTP module to do a post request, and the patient requests a reschedule, it doesn't check available slots while the call is going. And needs to finish the call to check availability. So I can only get data of the call after the call ends. How would you go about checking available slots while the call is going on and not after the call finishes? P.S. I'm using the Vappy API docs to create an outbound caller, so it's different than an inbound caller that leverages the Vappy dashboard." You know, it's interesting. I was actually just solving this for somebody inside of Maker School, uh, maybe a week or two ago. They thought that you couldn't get real-time access to tools and function calling, but I found some API doc that allowed me to. So Vappy outbound call tool usage, right? Something here. Let me just double check this. There should be like a tool section here. Functions right over here. Yeah. So even if you do an outbound sales call example, you should be able to define your assistant. The thing is, you just need to use a functions object. And inside of that functions object, you need to have a bunch of parameters like the name, description, type, string, date and time of the appointment in ISO format and stuff. And then you should be able to use these functions to call a server URL. To call a server URL right over here, that book appointment function. So in order to make that happen, right, you have to set up a function in Vappy, which usually involves you doing a make.com webhook and then connecting that make.com webhook and then doing your server call in a very specific type of way. You need to more or less like format it in the way that Vappy's expecting, right? But assuming that you've watched my video on how to set up a Vappy call agent, you should be able to do that fairly quickly. So just, head over to Nick Saraev Vappy, look at what I'm doing for inbound, and then, just take that format that I'm doing for the HTTP call. And the only difference really between the Vappy inbound callers and then the ones that are outbound is that you just don't have access to the dashboard to be able to create it. So you actually have to create the assistant via API as well, which is kind of a next step. But yeah, sounds like you probably know 90% of what you need to do in order to get this up and running. So yeah, just check those server docs that I just posted over here, and you should be good to go. WIR Nation says, "Hey Nick, love your content. One genuine question." The genuinest of questions. "I'm a teen trying to get into AI automations, and I want to know inputs on me selling AI callers to real estate agents. As you know, it's a pain point for real estate agents getting calls. But if AI can handle that where it books a viewing, want to know your thoughts." Sorry, maybe I'm not 100% on the same page as you here. It's a pain point for real estate agents getting calls anytime, but if AI can handle that where it books a viewing, so a real estate agent gets a call and then from there we book a viewing? I mean, not really, no. I don't really think this is a major pain point these days. I mean, unless you're like really stuck in the Stone Ages, you have like a booking portal most of the time, right? Like you don't actually have to go and call the person. I mean, a lot of them still do because real estate agents in general, the real estate niche in general is more of like an in-person, old-timey, pick up the phone and dial sort of niche. But no, I don't really think that that's super valuable, to be honest. Probably wouldn't be my first pick. Not to say you can't do it. You can more or less make anything work, just no matter how hard you push. But I don't think a lot of, modern places or real estate agents that make a lot of money who would probably be using these sorts of tools that I'm talking about in the first place, because those are more likely to reduce their workload and make them make more money, would find this sort of stuff super valuable. Sorry to break your heart, WYR_nation. Jean Christensen says, moral of the story, cold approach is king to open doors, be it with girls or business partners. Yeah, that was a very interesting conversation with that chick. I personally met the best business connections through cold approach picking up. Haha. Sounds good, man. Glad to hear. I think that being able to talk to a complete stranger is a very important skill. And I'm glad that I spent a big chunk of my youth in nightclubs and bars. As much as that wrecked my sleep and taught me some pretty bad habits, definitely stoked that, I learned the ability to, like, at a networking event or something, just go up to completely random people and say, hey, I'm Nick. I don't think I've met you yet. Trevor Anderson says, always enjoy the content here. High value stuff. My agency is about 2.5 months old. I'm up and running with paying clients, largely thanks to Maker School. Hell yeah, brother. Highly recommend it. The program pays for itself. Plug. Thank you. Nick, one challenge I face is transitioning from the hands-on tools expert into a broader consulting role. Someone who deeply understands a client's entire business, helps them scale, and also handles automation. When approaching this more consultative role, how do you typically structure your thoughts or preparation for client calls? Are there specific frameworks or questions you recommend to guide these conversations that will help provide more value? Yes, all the time. Inside of Maker School, actually, you'll have access to, like, my sales skeleton. So just check the first month somewhere along there. But essentially what I always do is I ask the client to tell me, so I have a structure, right? I'll build a little bit of rapport, get them laughing and stuff. And then I basically say something along the lines of, hey, why are we talking right now, right? You probably get dozens of cold emails every day. What about my outreach made mine different? And why are we in this virtual call right now? So let's just, cut to the chase and tell me. They'll tell me it's usually because they really like my outreach, or they're currently hiring for some sort of role and they wanted to, like, see their options, or I don't know. I mean, nowadays it's usually like, oh, I know you from YouTube. I've seen your videos and stuff, and I thought that this was really serendipitous, whatever. In your case, it's probably like, hey, this is the right time. So I want to make sure this is the right person. From there, I get them to run me through their business top to bottom. I say something along the lines of, all right, so, in order for me to really fully understand this, I always like to ask this question, and that's, what is the customer journey? Where's the very first time that a customer is talking or getting into contact with you, your company? Oh, is it through Facebook ads? Okay. No. Oh, it's through a cold email. Okay. Most of the time, people are going to say, oh, it's through referral. Ah, okay. Gotcha. And typically when you get a referral, what does that look like? Is it an email where somebody CCs you, forwards it over? Do they do, like, a little welcome email chain? Hey, Peter, this is my great contact, Trevor. Trevor's an AI automation specialist. Like, how exactly does that look? So I literally get them to walk me through every contact point with the customer and the company from start all the way to finish. I get them to run me through, the onboarding. I get them to run me through how they contact and keep in touch with them throughout, like, the engagement or the fulfillment, okay, whatever the business is doing. If it's a digital agency, maybe they're making some PPC ads or something. Like, when do you give clients updates? When do you give clients meetings and that sort of stuff? I basically get them to walk me through literally everything. All the way until the client, retention part at the end when the client exits the engagement. And then from there, if, like, you've had a few clients and if you watch a few of my videos, you'll probably start to pick out patterns in how businesses do things. At the end of the day, at least with the niches that I interact with, there's really only so many steps that a company will go through from meeting a customer to closing out that engagement, right? And so it becomes pretty trivial for you to say, okay, so you guys are currently doing all that stuff manually. All right, well, we could probably build a system that would improve your ability to onboard the client. So instead of you having to do all this stuff manually, maybe we have some form with a creative brief. Maybe they automatically get the email after the payment is triggered or something like that. Maybe they automatically get some big PDF thing. They automatically get a new ClickUp space created for them where they can monitor their projects. You tend to be able to pick up on this stuff pretty quickly. But yeah, I have the customer run me through it top to bottom, start to finish. After I'm done with that, I already have these ideas of, like, okay, how am I realistically going to be able to help this client? I will ask them to tell me a little bit about the return on investment, customer lifetime value. How much money do they realistically make off of a single customer going through their pipeline start to finish? Now, if you're working in, like, the digital agency space, this might be between $5,000 to $10,000 realistically, because you got to keep in mind, it's not just like the one time that you do a job with a customer. Customers have what are called retention multipliers or repeat business multipliers, where 20% of customers recur. And if 20% are recurring on a $10,000 deal, then that customer is actually worth $12,000 at minimum. They also have, like, referral multipliers. So there's a 1.2x likelihood that customer is going to refer out some other customer, right? If you do the CLV or customer lifetime value calculations, you start to get a real idea of how valuable a single customer is. And that usually turns out to be very valuable. Well, here's the really cool thing. Once you know how much money a customer is worth to that business, now you can start justifying, okay, how much money can they pay me, assuming I get them this many customers a month? This is more on the marketing and sales side of things, but most of my systems are marketing and sales oriented, right? So That is typically how I approach things. And now, if you think about it, what do I know? I have like a roadmap of their entire business, start to finish. I can pattern match this against all the other businesses that have helped. It's very trivial for me to say, okay, we could build that system to help their onboarding, that system to help their, ad creatives, that system to help their lead gen. And then I also know, okay, assuming that I do all this, how much money am I realistically going to make the business? Well, if we do some very conservative estimations and I can help improve their client acquisition by, 3 extra clients a month or something, if they're each $15,000, I'm adding $45,000 a month in value to that business. Maybe I can charge $10,000 or $15,000 a month for my services. So that, in start to finish, in a nutshell, is how you take this consultative partnership-based approach. And you also price yourself value-wise, as opposed to, you just pulling a number out of your ass. Hopefully that helps. Sola says, the reason I follow you is because you stand out as a down-to-earth and real person. Thank you. No fancy hype, FOMO, or emotionally hype videos. No, these are pretty boring. At least I got some hate earlier that said it was pretty boring. Instead, you sound like a regular guy making money using AI, so I appreciate you for that. Hell yeah. My question is, when reaching out to a new client, a first-time client, is it best to throw your offer right away in DMs? I'm asking because I'm currently doing outreach in LinkedIn, email outreach, and Upwork. And then you're talking about Instagram here. But what's the best way to reach clients on DMs? Throw your offer right away or start with a casual message with the client? Also, how long should an ideal conversation when the client pays take while in communication with that prospect? I'm curious to hear your take on things. So just before we move forward, Sola, I think that it's really important to disambiguate or to distinguish between a client and a prospect, okay? Because you're using the term client over and over and over here. But client is somebody that has paid you money for a service. Client is somebody that is giving you something, basically, in return for the work that you are doing. You have progressed. They're no longer some prospect that you're pitching. This is somebody that like you're working with now. Okay, so the way that I see things is basically, if this is like the start, okay, of your relationship with somebody, they're a prospect here, and then you go to the point where they do something. I don't know. They sign a proposal. Okay. Maybe there's some proposal signing event or some payment trigger or something like that. And only from here onwards are they a client. And then maybe you end your working relationship or something. Well, now this is like a past client. Okay. Just terminology wise, I think it's really important to know these because a lot of people misrepresent what a client is. They say, just signed a client for $10,000. And it's like, all right, great, man. 10,000. So what are you going to invest all this money in? My God, let's spend all this money on X, Y, and Z. And then they're like, oh, well, I don't have the money yet. It's like, all right, well, are they a client if they haven't given you any money? Are they a client if they haven't signed any paperwork? Oh no, they just said yes to me that one time. It's like, they're not really a client yet, right? So this is the anti-hype or anti-FOMO that I always have to push back on in maker school because everybody will say stuff like, I'm chatting with my new client. And it's like, dude, they haven't paid you anything. There's no relationship or engagement there. Okay, so anyway, to answer your specific question, is it best to throw your offer right away on DMs? Yeah, totally. You need some reputation by building content followers, which will take time. I mean, nah, I wouldn't worry about that. Just like, if you're going to start DMing people, man, just start DMing people like on whatever platform you're using. And yeah, have your offer, have some sort of risk mitigation, have some sort of like quick social proof win, introduction, social proof, risk mitigation or guarantee, and then call to action, right? Like, is this worth your time? Can I give you a call tomorrow in order to chat about this? What's the best way to reach clients in DMs? Throw your offer right away or start with a casual message? Yeah, man, just throw your whole offer right away. Throw the whole pitch, 100%. 100% through your whole pitch. Don't waste time with people by like trying to warm them up or whatever. Hey, I loved your last photo. Ha ha ha. Let's keep in touch. Like any serious business person will not be really paying attention to that. Okay. Hamdan says, I love your content. Thank you, man. I've been devouring it for months now. Would you be kind enough to create a video on the data store module in Make? I don't think there's an up-to-date video on YouTube covering it. Part of the reason I'm asking is because I'm building an email analytics tool that checks your inbox daily and provides a summary at the end of the day. It highlights details like the number of emails received and specific labels, a short summary of important emails, and more. I'd also love to get your thoughts on a system that I'm developing as well. Okay, well, throw the system, man. Let's take a look at it. Regarding the data store module, you're just, you're referring to like you're referring to this stuff, right? I can make a video on this. I mean, it's not super valuable, I'll say. I don't really use data stores in my own work. I basically always just farm it out to a Google Sheet. Because if you think about it, a Google Sheet's like a data store, except it's not like relegated to Make. Like I can share this with people outside of make.com. It's a lot more interoperable. And an operation's an operation, right? Google Sheets is free. Data stores are free. Is there really any reason why I need to be using a data store and I can be using a Google Sheet? So yeah, I don't really think you need a data store module for this. And that's a reason why I haven't done any videos on the data store module. Like some people have, and they're really crappy and old. And they're like, the data store module is so amazing. But it doesn't really do anything, right? So I don't know, man. Sorry to burst your bubble, but I'd love to hear about the system that you're developing. That sounds pretty cool. Unless this is what you meant, right? It just checks your inbox, provides a summary. Like, I don't think that that's super valuable, as a system. It's probably good as like a test case, like a playground thing. You just getting your ducks in a row, figuring out how make.com works. But like as a whole system, like my Apple Intelligence does this on my phone now. You know what I mean? Like you're not really going to be able to sell that to anybody. Gmail's going to have that built in the next few months, guaranteed. All right, I've been bursting a lot of bubbles recently. Hopefully nobody hates me. Well, better to be loved and hated than not to be thought of at all. T-Rank, he says, hey, Nick, I want to join your school, and I'm new to AI and want to offer a lead gen system to recruitment companies in Asia. Can I learn how to do that from end to end in your school? What's the difference between Maker School and Make Money with Make? Thanks for your time and valuable content. No problem. Man, so many people have cars as profile pics, eh? That's interesting. I hope I'm not bursting any further bubbles here, but I'm not really a car guy. That said, these cars look pretty sexy. Is that a Porsche? That's definitely not my Subaru. Yeah, so you can, well, I mean, yeah, you can learn how to do that from end to end. Yeah, for sure. We'll help you out with any stumbling blocks you may have. We have blueprints for most steps, I want to say, that you have to do for a lead gen system, probably like 90% of them. And then you just fill in the gaps with whatever particular platforms you're using. And the fact that it's in Asia doesn't really change anything. So yeah, you can 100% learn how to do all of that start to finish in my school, as well as set that up for yourself, which is cool. What's the difference between Maker School and Make Money with Make.com? Maker School is basically like, so this is Maker School and this is Make Money with Make. Maker School is basically like a 0 to 1 community. You can think of it as like, if you've never made any money before selling automation services and you want to get up and running as quickly as possible, this shows you how. So I basically run you through everything from start to finish. It's a big community because there's a lot more beginners than there are anything else. But yeah, it's like a day-by-day accountability program where I'll walk you through it. Make Money with Make.com, it's higher level. It's more of like a community. So the main value here is the community that you get. We have hangout calls. We have weekly office hours with me where you can ask me any question. We have like higher level discussions essentially. And there are some beginners in Make Money with Make.com, Make Money with Make too. I've obviously changed how I branded and pitched the community over time because when I started it, that was my first community. I didn't really 100% understand how to do value propositions and transformations for coaching clients. But yeah, I guess that's basically it. There are a few additional differences, but I encourage you just to head over to the sales page, check it out for yourself. Okay, we got a fellow Nick. What's going on, Nick? Hey, you just commented on Maker School. I replied to your post today. Just joined your school group, already putting the work in. I'm curious, though. Isn't it crazy how handsome fellow Nicks are? Weird. Just blessed by the gods, I guess. And not knowing how long ago you launched your school. Are there any changes, additions, updates we newbies should be considering that maybe wasn't needed or relevant at the time of launch? Thanks, sir. No, you are good to go. If there are any changes to the market, I update Maker School to reflect that. Aiden says, hey, Nick, greetings from Prague. Hello. As a 16-year-old who just got into the AI automation space, never been on a sales call. Can you share some advice on sales and how to gain trust of way more experienced business owners? So don't let me fool you. It is hard to sell when you're that young. The median business owner age is probably going to be mid-30s. You're going to be less than half their age. A lot of people are going to look down on you just by proxy, just by virtue of the fact that you're young. When I started going door to door, I was pretty young too. Like, how old was I actually? 20, 21? The thing is, I have a baby face. Maybe not as much anymore, but I had a hell of a baby face. So I looked like I was actually, I don't know if I want to pull that up at risk of showing you guys other photos. Anyway, go to yesterday's video and scroll like 80%, 90% of the way through, and I'll show you a picture of me at the time that I started doing door-to-door sales. I did not look, I did not look very, well, I looked pretty young. I was probably, most people probably pen me at like 18 or 19. So the number one thing I got when I was going door to door and selling while I looked that young was like incredulity, I believe it's called. People were just like really inherently skeptical because I was just so young that they just thought I was some little teenager, some pothead teenager or whatever that was just like having a go at them. Like they didn't really think that I was serious. So the most important thing that I would do is, in order to dispel that notion right away, have a keen understanding of where the business owner is coming from, and have a keen understanding of how to present information in such a way that you answer a lot of the questions that business owner is going to have like ahead of time. What do I mean by this? I mean, if you are talking to a prospect for the very first time, they've never talked to you before in their life, they have no idea who you are. The very first thing that they're going to be thinking about, okay, is this person a spammer or a scammer, basically, right? If you go to my email inbox and I will show you my email inbox. If you go to my, oh nice, Manus just accepted my wait list. That's sick. Go to people selling me stuff here, okay? The very first thing that I am trying to determine, and you guys can't see this, there we go. The very first thing I'm trying to determine is, are these people scamming me or spamming me, okay? That's like question number one. And so what am I looking at when I look at outreach? I'm looking at like the subject line of the email, the teaser here. I'm looking at their name. I'm looking at any files they give me and stuff. And so that's the very first question. So you need to construct your pitch and information in such a way that they think that you are not a scammer or spammer. How do you do that? You do that by personalizing your outreach. If you personalize your outreach, it's very high quality, and it seems as if to the person that is watching that you are not just blasting up a bunch of stuff out there. They won't think that you're a spammer or scammer, okay? They'll be more likely to actually, let's say, click on your video, click on your outreach. So what are some really shitty examples of this? Nishant, he says, want editor, exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation points. I edit videos that attract thousands of views. I work with several small and big creators and pulled in millions of views for them. Also, I did. What are you guys thinking, huh? This is Gladiator. No, this is spam, right? It seems like spam because it's not customized, it's not personalized. There's nothing here at all that makes it seem like this person is reaching out to me. It just looks like they're spamming into the interwebs, and you know, I'm like scared basically of opening this email because maybe there's something inside of them. Contrast that with this chick, Paula Green. The title of this might be LinkedIn content, but then the teaser says, "Hi Nick, I watched your video," and then she at least mentions the title of the video and then says, and made 21 LinkedIn posts that you can use on your profile too, ... Then she attaches a PDF that says Nick Saraev space LI, okay? Now, how much more likely is this to be a real email versus Nishant's down here, right? Like we're talking 1,000 times more likely, right? So at least I'm buying myself a click. Okay, great. So that's the very first question that somebody's going to ask. So once you're, as a 16-year-old that's never really done this, just that put yourself in the mindset of a person like me. That's the very first thing that I'm trying to determine. Once I've determined that, and that's all good to go, the next thing that we have to figure out, okay, is, okay, so this isn't spam. So who the hell is this person then? So the next thing you have to do is you basically need to identify yourself, and you need to answer that question. All right, so who is this? So Paula didn't do a very good job of this. Paula just said, "Hi Nick, I watched your video and made 21 LinkedIn posts that you can use in your profile to build authority, audience, and engagement. Take a look and let me know if you want more." Paula's probably using AI to like pre-draft these PDFs, which is cool, and I think it's a really cool system. But I'm still feeling a little bit disrespected here as somebody that's on the other end of her outreach, okay? And I'm going to get into the actual sales call and stuff later, but I'm still feeling pretty disrespected as somebody that's on the other end of this outreach because I still don't really know who Paula is. Paula's assuming that I know who she is, essentially, and I don't. So a much better way to do this, to answer that second question, is to say, "Hey, Nick, I watched your video, blah, 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 and I made this for you. I am Paula. I, do LinkedIn stuff and have been a longtime follower and watcher of your content. Just wanted to say, hey, and I know you're all about leading with value, so here's a bunch of stuff." If Paula had said that, I would have check marked. I would have answered that second question for me. And I probably would have been much more likely to actually want to work with them. Okay. So that's another really big one. Let's think about the third question. Once I've determined whether this is spam or not spam, and then once I've determined who the hell this person is, the next thing that I need to do is obviously figure out why the hell this matters to me, right? Right? It's not spam. Okay. This person is some LinkedIn ghostwriter. Okay. So why the hell should I listen to them and not all of the other LinkedIn ghostwriters out there? And that's where you do something like you provide a lot of value. So that's where you say the LinkedIn post, I made all this value. I linked the PDF and stuff like that. I mean, in Paula's case, she did like 3 out of the 4 steps. The last thing is you need to have some sort of ask. Now in Paula's case, her ask is take a look and let me know if you'd like more. The way that she's laid this out is pretty good. I'd say it's probably like, 80th percentile in terms of outreach. Essentially what her ask is do you want more? But what she could have done is she could have phrased this in such a way to substantially improve the probability that I would have said yes. All she would have had to do here is say something like, take a look and let me know if you'd like more. If you want, I can draft up another 10, just reply yes to this email or something, or, just give me a thumbs up or something. Okay. The value there is she's essentially just minimizing the friction involved in me saying yes to her and moving forward. And if all of these pieces come together, okay, and if Paula were to have written me the email that I just told you guys that I wish she would have written me, I 100% would have got back to Paula. Emails like this have like 10, 15-ish% reply rates when they're done perfectly and they're super customized and you throw in an asset like this. Okay, so that's kind of step one. You're putting yourself in the mindset of the customer and you're basically inoculating against a bunch of questions that they're going to ask. So construct your outreach in such a way that is respectful of their time and that's sort of like, make so that they don't really have to work in order to do the thing that you want them to do. Because if they have to do a bunch of additional work in order to do the thing that they want, if you have to do a bunch of additional work in order to complete the thing that they want you to do, you're a lot less likely to do it just because of friction alone. Now you probably at least have some baseline level of trust. Now, when you get on the sales call is basically everything that I've talked about regarding outreach and how to make yourself get noticed and how to like get somebody, how to generate a lead. It's everything that I've talked about there, just compressed into, like a face-to-face sort of video call or something like that. Like it's everything that I just talked about where people are going to wonder, are you a scammer? Are you a spammer? Okay, well then great. Who the hell are you? Okay, great. Well, why the hell does this matter to me? And then, okay, great. What the hell do you want me to do about it? It's you answering all of those questions, but instead of you doing it over text, like in an email or a DM or a Loom video, you're doing it face-to-face with that person. So when you construct your sales script or your skeleton or however you want to phrase it, when you construct the strategy that you're going to use in order to convert people, just keep that in mind. The very first thing you have to do is you have to make it abundantly clear to them that you're not a scammer or a spammer. So you have to show them some form of legitimacy. How do you typically do that? You say, I've worked with all of these people before. Okay. It's very difficult to do at the very start line of your business, but there are some ways that you can get around that. You could say, I'm part of a community. My colleagues have hundreds of thousands of followers. My mentor, my coach, right? You could reference some internships that you've had. You could reference some people that you may have talked to or worked with, like me, for instance. One of my mentors is a 60,000 YouTube subscriber AI and automation guy called Nick Saraev. Maybe you've heard of him. He told me to reach out because he wanted to talk about X, Y, and Z, right? These sorts of things they're heavy on the implication, but he told me to construct this sales call in such a way that you would trust me immediately. So that's what I'm trying to do right now by showcasing some social proof, this, that, and that. It's really interesting when you get really meta with these people. So anyway, once you've verified that you're not a scammer or a spammer, the next step naturally is you need to answer the question, okay, great. Well, if you're not a scammer or spammer, then who the hell are you? And that's where you might give, some sort of pre-planned pitch or elevator sales 30-second scripted portion where you say, hey, I'm just to make things abundantly clear. So who am I? I'm Aydin, I believe is probably how I'm going to say your name. I'm from Prague. I'm headquartered over here. We started the AI and automation agency a year and a half ago. We got our roots with recruitment companies, and from there we positioned our business as a way to help recruiters reach more employers, but then also connect with candidates using automated methods. We do this in a variety of ways, like X, Y, and Z. And I'm reaching out to you because I thought that there was a big opportunity given all of this stuff. So that I could help you. So now what you're doing is you're basically taking this big long email and then you're turning it into a phone call, if I'm being honest. The next question is a social proof question like I talked about. So now you're saying, so let me tell you why you should take me seriously. Here's what I've done for this client. Here's what I've done for that client. Here's what I've done for that client. Again, if you don't have any of this yourself, you can always use, I want to say, proxy social proof by virtue of your community, by virtue of people like me that have done this. You can't claim these wins as your own, obviously, and reputation and being honest is very important, especially if you're starting this young. You want to set up your track record for success early. But you can certainly, showcase the value of these services based on what other people in the communities that you're a part of have done, and that's totally fine. And then from there, at the end, you need to make some sort of ask or you need to make some sort of pitch. So now, you've answered all those questions for me, except for the major one, which is, all right, this sounds really good, but what do you want, right? Can we just get down to brass tacks here? Are we, am I signing a contract right now? Are you going to send me a proposal to read over? Are you signing me up on some sort of revenue share? Are we doing some sort of pay per lead sort of thing if you're doing lead gen? Like, what exactly is the pricing? What exactly is the offer? And so that's where you explain your pricing and your offer. That's where you say, the simplest and easiest way that I've found to do this sort of thing is I charge people a monthly retainer for the implementation of these services. Here's what that looks like, right? You actually go line item by line item, and then you say, how does that sound, right? You actually give them, you give them the floor essentially to give you the yes or the no. And the way that I usually do things is I usually give them a proposal, and then I actually don't answer objections and stuff like that unless they explicitly ask me and unless they're really easy. Like, I don't actually try and close them on the call. I don't find that very valuable. I much prefer to close people both emotionally and logically. So I make them really like me on the call, and then I go through and I do a bunch of scoping and stuff, and then I send them the proposal immediately after so that, when they make the decision to work with me, they don't feel pressured. They don't feel like they have to because there's some super crazy hardline salesperson that's on the other end of the line being like, so why aren't you signing up today? What's stopping you from doing this? I've just always hated that. So I think that that's probably my whole sales methodology in a nutshell, if I'm honest. That's more or less everything that I've done on every sales call for the better part of the last, oh God, I don't know, 3 years. I basically just try and answer those 4 questions, and I do it during my outbound outreach. I do it during my sales call. Hell, I even do it like during my fulfillment, if you think about it. This is just a cycle that repeats itself over and over and over and over again. Verify that you're not a spam or a scammer. Identify yourself, right? Give people a quick run through of who you are. Talk about projects that you've done that are similar, or big social proof things that you've done that have verified that you are the sort of man for the job. And then ultimately you need to make some sort of ask, you need to make some sort of pitch. So that's how you gain trust. That's how you showcase a deep understanding and implied experience of working with business owners, regardless of the fact that you're 16 years old. Hopefully that helps, and hopefully you can take something away from that. JMXO97 says, "Hey, Nick, appreciate the writer thinker comment. Made my night. Then my girlfriend said you were hot when I was bragging about it." Oh, damn. That's rough, man. Sent you this question through email, but wanted to post here so you read this and smile for the crowd. Yes, you got the smile. Big fan of the mentality of putting your talents in the light so that they may shine on those that could use the lift. As an automation service provider, getting consistent clients and pipeline, bootstrapped as it is, put their $70-ish a month towards Maker School or instantly first. So if this is how much money you have, this is all you have, then go instantly. Okay. But you're bootstrapped enough that I would also like do these customized Loom videos like I'm talking about. But yeah, put $37 a month towards the instantly hypergrowth plan. I think that'll give you 1,000 uploaded contacts. You can cycle those contacts multiple times. You don't have to only email 1,000 people a month. You could email, 3,000, 4,000 people a month. You just have to delete those leads after the vast majority of them don't respond to you, because that's how that's going to work. So hopefully that helps. Been watching you since greater than 10K on the main. Love what you do. Build a full resource hub of your material internally. Nice. The compliment is imitation, so I'd love to drop the ego and just build real wealth vehicles. Me too. Both feel like necessary leverage points that I'll buy at some point for spreading revenue in meaningful ways. Sounds like money invested in sustaining LTV, a single client through process and relationship building. Student by heart, breaking through that pattern with more doing than info hunting. Keep winning. I will absolutely do so. Thank you very much for the chuckle. That is hilarious. Yeah, just block the, youtube.com/@NickSaraev. Just avoid any potential problem. No, just busting your balls. Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. Yeah. Hakeem says, "Hello, Nick. I'm in your school community. I'm studying your cold email strategy. The thing is, when I see comments in your videos, everybody is talking about sending Loom videos in their outreach. Can you explain step by step how this would work?" Yeah. Oh, man, I've done this enough times that I need to remember which video it is so I can just point people to that direction. Essentially, you'll record a Loom video, okay, on their website or a series of private social media profiles that you would only be on if you actually spent some time learning who they were and stuff like that. The value there is you want to make it abundantly clear, hey, this isn't random outreach. I'm not a scammer or a spammer. I've actually spent time verifying that you are who you are, and I've customized my pitch entirely to you, right? So we're checking that first question off. Then you identify yourself, you say who you are and why you matter. Then you talk about your social proof. Then you ultimately talk about the thing that you want to do for them, which is just give them a ton of value. So I don't know, in your case, you might reach out to people that are, I don't know, some sort of big hotshot Instagram creators or something that are working in the niche that you want. Okay. And then you go on their private social medias and stuff like that. And then you record a video, and in the video, you actually build something for them. Maybe you identify some section of their funnel that is really underutilized or neglected that's not making them money. And you say something along the lines of, listen, I know this is totally out of left field. I'm on your Facebook profile right now because I identified a section of your funnel that you could literally take 30 seconds and fix for yourself. And I think you'd probably make an additional $5,000 to $10,000 per month off it. Okay. I'm not asking for anything here, just for you to verify that I'm a cool guy. Here's exactly what I would do. And then at the end, you kind of make your ask. It's like, if you like this sort of stuff, I'd be more than happy to put something in front of you. I've identified a number of other things that I think I might be able to help you with. Just let me know if you're interested. Get back to this email, respond with a thumbs up, and I'll show you what they are, right? You just lead with a ton of value. The guy that I'm working with now for my YouTube content, thank you very much, Car Showcasing CSC. He created 5 thumbnails for me without even asking me. He wrote me an outline for a video. He gave me a bunch of free content ideas, and then I think he even wrote me a whole script from start to finish, completely free. And that took him probably 5 hours. So I'm not suggesting that you take a 5-hour per lead approach in order to get somebody's attention. But obviously, if you really want that one person's attention, if you do all of that work for them and you showcase your talents in a meaningful way, like JMX was saying back here, then the likelihood that somebody's going to respond to you is a lot higher. Cool. So that's that. Hopefully that makes sense. How long have I been talking now? Jesus, over half an hour. That's a long ass time. I got to cut these down a little bit moving forward. I did want to respond to one of these questions where some guy shat on me somewhere around here. It's this guy, My Oak Man. He says, these types of videos are lowering the likelihood of watching your next video. I've been used to high standards in your previous videos. You're at a point where you can focus more on quality than quantity. I don't know if he fully understands the purpose of this channel, but just to make it abundantly clear, this is not my main channel. This is not where I do like my super high quality videos. This is really just where I yap for an hour, answer some questions, and then build some sort of daily accountability system where I just wake up, record a high quality video, gets me in the zone to like crush the rest of my day. And then I also get to cultivate like a smaller group of more focused, dedicated business owners that, might be interested in seeing the journey of somebody at my revenue level day by day. So hopefully that makes sense. Let's now do some brand stats. My YouTube channel at 61,042 has now hit 61,285. Not bad if I do say so myself. The Instagram finally hit 50,000 the other day. Specifically, 50,784. That's pretty cool. Then my daily updates channel, aka the one that I'm currently delivering all of this to you under, is 1931. So that's 32. So as you can see, things are going reasonably well. Here is what I have been working on. Well, I didn't really work on this, but this is a script that my main man, Malik, I believe, put together for me. How cool is that? A whole script for a YouTube video, essentially where I talk about the best online business for beginners to start in 2025. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I highly recommend that you start an AI and automation company, just because I think that this is one of the highest ROI business models possible. This is what I was talking about when I said that I started working with a guy. He wrote me almost 3,000 words. It was a little bit less. I linked it in a bit. About 3,000 words. And I ended up saying most of this in a video that I recorded. So that's pretty cool. Aside from that, I just hired an editor. Well, I haven't fully hired the editor. I'm just waiting on one of the editors to get back to me. I think that he's probably going to be the one that I'm going to work with. We're going to see, depending on the quality. And assuming that that is good to go, I'm going to be starting daily publishing, like literally daily publishing. Okay. Right now, if you go on my analytics for my main YouTube channel, before my extended hiatus of like a week now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, a whole week, I was publishing once every 2 days, and that's cool. But I'm a really, really big fan of like the daily consistency stuff. I strongly believe that daily consistency in anything is just the way that you make it. And I personally have a tough time doing stuff consistently if it's not daily. Like daily for me, easiest and simplest and most straightforward way of building a habit. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be publishing twice as often. In fact, what I'm probably going to be doing is I'm going to be publishing the most out of anybody in my niche. I'm probably going to be producing like 4 to 10x as much content as the average creator in the AI and automation agency space. I'm thinking of splitting it up into thirds. The first third is going to be AI automation content where I talk specifically about the business model. So it'll be stuff like what you're seeing on this channel where I run people through my ideas surrounding some business things, but more like you can consider it a high-level group consultation. The second thing is going to be live builds, where I obviously continue a lot of the notoriety that I've built over the course of the last couple of year and a half or so, year and 2 months or so, by building stuff live based off of viewer requests and based off of systems that are trending and interesting right now. And then the third is going to be all about AI news. So there are a lot of big flashy changes. And my goal is not to get anybody hooked on shiny object syndrome, but given how quickly the niche is moving and how many changes are going to be occurring, realistically, there is actually something valuable that I could talk about once every 3 or 4 days. And that's what the AI news section is going to be for. So what you guys are realistically going to see when I get this whole content machine up and running, and we are very close to doing so, is I will publish one thing, okay, on like basically how to make money. And then immediately after that, I'll publish another one. And this one's going to be a live build. Okay. This is my little robot. That looks more like a rabbit or a cow. And then the next day, I'm going to do some sort of like AI news. And then obviously the AI news is all going to be about how you can use this practically to make money, but it's going to be similar in nature to the content on my Instagram, which is more top of funnel. So the reason why I think that that's valuable is because this new stuff, okay, this is going to be at the top of my funnel. If you think about it, this make money online stuff, This is going to be kind of at the midpoint of my funnel. And then this like live build, how to actually do it all stuff, is kind of be at the bottom of my funnel, I think. Or maybe, I don't know. Maybe these two are going to be switched. I don't know. But the point that I'm making is I'm going to have different types of content, a different type of content for every step of the funnel. So I'm going to get to maximize the amount of people coming in at the top through my super wide AI news stuff. Then I'm going to be able to nurture those people by being like, hey, you can actually use a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about here in order to make money with the automation agency stuff. And then down at the bottom, I'll be like, hey, here is actually how to like build the system, how to actually go day by day. By the way, if you like this sort of stuff, or you have like questions and you want Q&A and stuff like that, then check out my Communities Maker School and Make Money with Make. That's the whole idea behind my burgeoning content strategy. So I'm pretty stoked about this. And yeah, I can't wait to get back to like a daily cadence of recording on my main channel, because anybody that's been with me since the beginning, since I was at 17 subs, will know that the reason why I grew so quickly and I was able to get to 3.5K in the first month is just because I published every single day. I was just trying to provide as much value as possible. Having a team of people, so an editor and then somebody to help me do some ideation and thumbnails and all that stuff, that's going to help me unlock that quite a bit. So I'm super excited. That's more or less where I'm at for today. Hopefully you guys appreciate the Q&A, little nuggets of strategy here. And if anybody has any other questions they'd like me to answer, just drop them down below on the Daily Updates channel. I will add them to the stack. Take care, everybody.